pressure is privilege. I'm privileged that this organization, they believe in me. They put their faith in me. This is the right fit. And never in a million years did I imagine not being a Cowboy once I put on this uniform and put on this star. This is my home. I'm not leaving. I'm a Cowboy. This is only the beginning.
So this week, as the Cowboys start OTAs, all eyes will be on this guy, Dak Prescott. A lot has happened to Prescott in the past year, from personal loss to coming back from season-ending injury to rehab to signing that 4-year, $160 million contract. Now Prescott is the early favorite for NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Sage Steele recently sat down with him for the first installment of her new show, originally made famous by Roy Firestone. Here's an excerpt from her conversation with Dak for Up Close with Sage Steele.
How are you?
I'm doing well. A lot of adversity this past year, but to be sitting here now with a healthy leg, happy heart, I'm excited.
October 11th against the Giants.
Yeah.
Third quarter. Your life changed in a different way.
Yeah.
What happened?
And here's a quarterback draw. Up the middle, Prescott. Bouncing out to the left across the 20.
Boy, he's hurt. Dak Prescott's hurt.
Never forget the play, quarterback draw, take it up the middle, break left, and getting tackled, and I'm trying to stiff arm a guy, and I think I'm stiff arming him to the ground, and throw him, help him go into my leg. And I actually thought I rolled my ankle. I actually thought that's all that happened. And when I was on the ground, I looked over to see if my ankle was rolled. It was facing the other way.
I didn't like the way he fell. When you run your quarterback, you're always taking a chance. He's holding his right leg.
At the time, I mean, I don't know, you're in shock. Thank God for shock of not being able to feel the pain. But at that moment, I just wanted to get off the field so bad, and I couldn't. And it wasn't until my teammates came over to tap me on the shoulder, tell me it was going to be okay, they love me, is when I lost it, because I haven't missed much time in the game of football. But to know at that moment that it was gone, it was tough.
Gone. Were you afraid at that moment that it was gone for good?
No, not that it was gone for good. I'm a live in the moment type guy. And so at the time, I just knew I wasn't going to be able to finish that game. I knew that my season was done. So much work was put into it.
The prognosis was like a 4 to 6 month recovery, right? And I guess we're right in that range. How would you say this has gone?
See, when I got hurt, I never said I wasn't going to let anyone put a time on it because I'm a competitive guy, and I knew once I heard the 4 to 6, I was going to try to beat that. But I also knew I didn't have to be ready until fall. I'm right on pace. As I said, I'm healthy. If we had to play a game now, I feel like I can go out there, obviously, with the protection of my O-line and making sure that I'm not getting beat up the whole game. I could go out there and be very successful, start the game, finish the game, and not even worry about the leg.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy finally gets to coach his star quarterback for a full season. The Cowboys averaged 11.5 more points per game in Dak starts last year. They also averaged over 170 less passing yards in the games when another quarterback not named Dak Prescott was on.
Jones and his future with the Falcons yesterday. The Athletic reported Atlanta is interested in trading the superstar wide receiver. That got the attention of Tennessee's running back Derrick Henry, who reacted with this tweet in response to the trade rumors. Derrick Henry making the strong recruiting pitch, saying it's time to tighten up. I can't use the 2 letters in the middle, but I have a feeling you know what they stand for. Derrick Henry and Julio Jones, both obviously Alabama guys. Are we expecting, Kimberly, for Julio Jones to be traded after June 1st? What do you think?
Greeny, we're expecting it because the Falcons are so desperate to clear cap space and sign their draft class, right? But there are 3 questions when you consider, can they move Julio Jones? You want to know, what's the price? If you're a prospective team, what's the price? What's it going to cost? What's the other team's cap situation, because he carries a large cap number? And what's the QB situation like? Are you a team that's paying a lot of money to your QB? Are you going to have money for Julio? Or do you have a young QB who's on a rookie contract where you can make the numbers work? Now, one GM I talked to who's not in the Julio Jones market did say the incentive for trying to get a Julio Jones who's 30 plus is you hope he's got one good year and you're a contender and he puts you over the top. But we're so far removed from the draft and so far removed from free agency. There are only a couple teams that really have the cap space and the situation to make this work.
All right, so we're sort of trying to thread that needle with Julio, but it is still worth the exercise. Which team out there, in the eyes of our group, is Julio Jones away from potentially winning the World Series? We just heard Derrick Henry making his pitch. Kimberly, I'll give you the first shot at it. Which team right now should be on the phone trying to get Julio Jones?
Honestly, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens. I know they're a team that runs the football. They like to run the football. Cool. But look back at the rosters. When was the last time they had a true number one wide receiver, a big guy? Right now, I need Lamar Jackson to get a top-tier wide receiver. A guy who's tall, who's got a big strike zone where Lamar can throw it to him. And because here's the thing, you want a team that's ready to win. The Baltimore Ravens are on the cusp. Lamar has to take that next step, perfect his passing game in big games. And I think Julio Jones 1 year, that makes sense to me.
Rob Ninkovich, which team right now is Julio Jones away from winning the Super Bowl?
L.A. Chargers, baby. Come on now. You go Keenan Allen, Julio Jones, Mike Williams, Jared Cook. Are you kidding me? If you had all four of those guys out there on the field, DBs would not know who to cover. They wouldn't know what to do. Defenses would have fits with that lineup. So you look at a young quarterback like Herbert coming into his second year. They're going to have a ton of cap space. They don't have a big money quarterback right now. They're going to need a couple years here for him to even progress and then get that big deal. So you go get Julio Jones for one to 2 years in his prime right now. The Chargers would be a scary team offensively if they had Julio Jones.
I'm with that. That is an intriguing possibility. Bart Scott, can't wait to hear which direction you're looking.
Take that back, Greeny, because really why the Tennessee Titans and the Chargers disqualify themselves because they're not knocking on the doorstep. You talk about having a complete team. The Baltimore Ravens have the most complete team in the NFL, knocking on the doorstep, ready to take the next step. You talk about a young quarterback that's inexpensive. Well, Lamar Jackson is still on his rookie deal. You talk about the ability to have an 8-man box. It's going to be nothing but space for a guy like Julio Jones. Mm-hmm. And also he can be a mentor to another big receiver and a guy like Bateman who is similar. And Sammy Watkins, you can't consistently count on his feet to be healthy. So if you bring him in, now you imagine that threat with that running game with Mark Andrews, with Bateman, with potentially Sammy Watkins. That's a team to be reckoned with. And defensively, he's going to continue to get opportunities because the ball's coming right back on the other side.
That's 2 votes for Baltimore. Mike T., where are you looking?
Bart, you're wrong, and Derrick Henry and the 11-5 Tennessee Titans are exactly correct.
They can't stop nobody, Tony Bomb. They got no defense.
They don't need to because they're going to have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. We could score 50. We got a great quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, and now we're going to have Julio and A.J. Brown with Derrick Henry. How are you going to stop that? I think their defense will get better as the year goes on.
They don't have any money, Mike.
They can figure out the contract after June 1st. And remember this, guys. Arthur Smith, the current head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee. He knows that roster well. I think Rashaan Evans, a good young linebacker, and a second-round pick makes a ton of sense. And now Tennessee can replace Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. And now their passing game is right back to where it was. That's what I should have said to you, Bart, when I was negotiating your contract.
If I don't miss my guess.